Hello everyone and welcome back to My Opinion. And India have beaten South Africa by 7 runs in this final to win the T20 World Cup 2024. On the 11s of both sides, starting off with India, they unsurprisingly went with an unchanged combination. From my 11, I thought they should have made two changes, one being Sanju Samson in place of Shivam Dube, and I knew they wouldn't do that. However, the second change I thought definitely should have been done, and that is Mohammad Siraj in place of Ravindra Jadeja. And once again, we saw in this match, there's no need to play three spinners in the Caribbean. Even when India was 34 for 3, Jadeja only got to bat 2 balls at the end and bowled 1 over for 12 runs. What contribution did you get out of him in this match and the other matches? Not too much, because he was surplus to requirements given the conditions. Which is why, had Mohammad Siraj played, India could have used the extra bounce on offer in Barbados when compared to playing in a day game in Guyana against England. And as I've said many times now, Siraj and Arshdeep bowling in the power play. Then you've got Bumrah, Kuldeep and Akshar to bowl in the middle order and Bumrah to death as well. It's a far more foolproof blueprint than Bumrah having to bowl 2 overs at the start and being locked into bowl 2 overs at the end, because you cannot bring him in the middle, otherwise you won't have enough overs at the end. So I knew they wouldn't go with that option. I knew Jadeja would play over Siraj, but I didn't think it was the right call. And on South Africa, even though I'd said Shamsi should play ahead of Neil Bartman, over that point, I put an asterisk in the video itself, in my previous video, and said Bartman should play over Shamsi. And I knew they wouldn't make that change because Shamsi had got a man of the match in the previous match, a semi-final against Afghanistan. But when you're looking at the conditions and looking at who they were facing, was Tabraiz Shamsi going to be the player that was going to win you a match against that side in a venue where spinners don't play as much of a part as you would get in Guyana, for example? No, he wouldn't have done. And he didn't complete his quota either. So I didn't think it was a correct decision in playing him. And I didn't mind them playing Reza Hendricks, because I know a few people have been saying Ryan Rickerton should have been brought in, but the setting phase in the power play to get to that 47 for 1 mark, could Reza Hendricks had still played the second fiddle role with Quinton de Kock looking to attack the bowling, could that have worked out? Yes, it could have done. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So I especially feel them not playing Neil Bartman over Tabraiz Shamsi was one reason why this game didn't go their way. And Rohit Sharma won the toss and chose to bat first, with the correct decision. The match got underway, and the first over, even though it went for 15 runs, I thought the greatest positive was to see how those 15 runs came about. You saw that Virat Kohli was dismissed against England after hitting a 6 off Reece Topley, going for another slog and being dismissed. He did not slog at a single delivery this innings, and the way he got those 15 runs were of 3 classical drives which went for 4. So from the first over, with the approach that he was taking, or the way he was getting his runs, I thought it was great signs for him and for India this match. And from an Indian point of view, I thought them bowling Keshav Maharaj in the second over was a gift. I expected Rabada to bowl the second over, because on a kind of surface like Barbados, where it's got the extra bounce, I expected the seamers to be bowled to make use of that. And you'd have thought if Rabada had bowled the second over, he would have been challenging to deal with. Instead, what they do, for no reason, I don't get what the thinking was. Maybe because 2 right-handers were there, but is it that arbitrary that you make that kind of a call? They bring in Keshav Maharaj, Rohit Sharma hits him for 2 boundaries, and once Rohit was dismissed, and I don't mind that he was dismissed, he was looking to take on the bowling, he played the sweep shot, he was dismissed. It happens, he's played very well in this tournament. I'm very disappointed that India managed to turn a gift into a point of precariousness, where, as I said, Rishabh Pant, whenever he's walked down this tournament, in my view, he's looked like getting out. He scored a 50 against Bangladesh in the warm-up match, and apart from that, whenever he's walked out to bat, he's looked to go in one gear, and it's been quite fortuitous in the early part of the tournament. An ordinary dismissal from Suryakumar meant that India was 34 for 3, and up till this point, was the bowling anything to write home about? No, it wasn't, and they'd made the wrong call to bowl Maharaj in the second over. So, after getting to 23 in no time, I'd said 47 for 1 after 6. India didn't even need to look for boundaries in the rest of the power play, and they would have easily got to that score. There would have been 2 or 3 bad balls they could have put away. You get 3 more boundaries and score singles. You easily get to 47 without loss. And I was very disappointed that they created that situation for themselves. But nonetheless, I had faith in them that Akshar Patel and Virat Kohli would be able to rescue India from the stage, and India would be able to get to a good score and defend that. And people were talking about the pace of scoring from this point in time, especially Virat Kohli's innings. In my view, 75 for 3 in 10 overs, in line with the setting phase at this venue. Akshar Patel and Virat Kohli played this phase brilliantly. Had one of them been dismissed before the 10-over mark, India would have not won this game. And in terms of runs, I thought if India got to 90 for 3, I wouldn't have been worried about them losing more wickets before they got to a good score. I thought the foundation would have been set, and whoever was set at that point in time, and both those two were playing well, if one of those had stayed until the end, India would have definitely got to that 170 score. Based on where they were after 15 overs against England, 118 for 3, I thought India should look to get to that kind of a platform before unleashing in the last 5, scoring at 10 and over in that death over phase. And the 2 players that I thought were vital in getting India to that point where after the 10 over mark, it looked like for the next couple of overs, they'd struggle after that point to get close to the 120 for 3 mark after 15. With the way Akshar Patel was hitting home with wicket when the spinners are bowling, and over long on when the pacers were bowling, and showing the way when he walked out to bat, he did the same thing. And that's what took India to just over the 120 mark with 6 wickets in hand. And we saw they got effectively a similar number of runs that they got against England in the last 5 overs here, and got to a very good score of 176. And Virat Kohli, after bringing up his 50 and 48 deliveries in the next 11 deliveries, he expectedly accelerated and scores 26. And that acceleration was vital in giving India that finishing kick, and they got to a very good score on the surface. And I thought they'd win convincingly at that point in time. And from a South African point of view, you saw the one bowler that went for a lot of runs in this match, and that was Marco Jansen. I've said many times before, he's not a death bowler, and just because he bowled that one over against England, it was a point where Neil Bartman had gone for runs trying to go for the Yorker, and he's bowling full tosses in that over. Marco Jansen brought his length back and bowled that over well. He didn't go for a single Yorker, and it's not a delivery that he's got. In this case, he looked to bowl full for most of the deliveries, and you saw from the first over and towards the end, that was what the batsman capitalised on. That was what Virat Kohli capitalised on, and that was what cost South Africa towards the end in this match. Now, had Neil Bartman played ahead of Tabraiz Shamsi, he's a bowler who can bowl at the start and at the end. Even though Marco Jansen went 15 in his first over, I thought they'd be better served in giving him at least one more in the earlier parts of the innings where he's not a death bowler, and if a set batsman was batting at the end, he would have gone for runs, and he did so. If Neil Bartman was available to bowl in this match, he could have bowled at the end with Heinrich Nokia and maybe 1 over of Kagiso Rabada, and South Africa would not have leaked as many runs as they did. And KJ Maharaj bowling 3 overs, 2 for 23, and doesn't bowl his 4th. I don't know what that was about either. So they got locked into having to bowl Marco Jansen for 2 overs at the death because they only fielded 3 seamers and a surface where the spinners don't have as much of a part to play as in other venues. And you've got this Indian side where, with the way Shamsi bowls, is he going to have a match-winning impact against them? No, he isn't. I talked about South Africa not being clued on when selecting their playing 11 and the tactics in the match, and I'd say the same thing about India because I'd said Mohammad Siraj should have played ahead of Ravindra Jadeja so he could bowl in the power play alongside Arshdeep Singh, and Bumrah, Akshar Patel and Kuldeep Yadav can bowl in the middle overs. Now what happened? Bumrah bowled 2 overs up front, got the wicket of Vijay Hendrick with a fantastic delivery. Aiden Markham dismissed early as well, and yes, the bowling was tardy until the end, but I thought the spinners went for runs because of when they were brought onto bowl. Preferably, Akshar Patel and Kuldeep Yadav should have been brought onto bowl after the power play. And I talked about the red ball captaincy for India being defensive, and we saw that in their home series against England, Whereas in this case, I thought the captaincy was over-aggressive because Rohit wanted things to happen early after what happened against England, where Akshar Patel was brought on to the power play and they struggled against Kuldeep Yadav as well. And on Kuldeep Yadav, it's a case where I've said he's been a momentum bowler, and I feel we've seen at times he has looked to have grown out of that tag. For example, in the semi-final of the ODI World Cup against New Zealand, where I think he went for runs at the start and then bowled at the death and bowled brilliantly. Whereas a lot of the time he does play to that tag, and you saw in this match him for 10 runs in his first over and conceded 45 in his 4. Akshar Patel shouldn't have bowled 3 overs as early as he did because he was brought on in the power play. The extra over was lost, and when he bowled his 4th over to a set Heinrich Klaasen, that was a huge strategic error, and that should have cost India the match. And I'm saying this as an Indian fan. And the reason why I'd said Siraj should be in the side is because now Bumrah bowls 2 overs up front. He has to bowl 2 at the end, even though I thought he should have bowled one of those earlier when I think there was 54 or 36 to win. He should have bowled that one of the overs then. But he had to bowl 2 overs later because you've got Hardik Pandya, who Rohit Sharma did not trust him until the end. And I think rightly so. He's been going for runs whenever he's bowling the tournament, apart from when he was bowling in New York. And that's why you're looking at this arrangement here. You've not got that third frontline seam when you don't need 3 spinners in these conditions. Once again, Jadeja faces 2 deliveries, bowls 1 over for 12. What's the impact that he had in this match? Not much. And you're still persisting with him when you know... Okay, yes, he offers batting at the end, but he's not getting batting at the end. So would you rather play another fast bowler and make sure you win by a greater margin, or think let's have some more batting in the end and a bowler that you can't bowl in these conditions because it'd be surplus to requirements? So that's on that. As far as the blueprint was concerned, I thought South Africa had lost 1 more wicket than they would have liked at the halfway stage, and the runs, they were on track as well. Tristan Stubbs, after going well, I talked about the South Africans struggling when the spinners bowled a straight ball, being dismissed when they bowled a straight ball. But I didn't think there'd be a case where he walks across the stumps, exposes those 3 stumps, Akshar bowls a full toss, and he's dismissed trying to play the sweep. So a free wicket for India at that point in time, and that was what gave them more of a bearing in this match when Kuldeep de Kock was also dismissed not too long afterwards. And a sensational knock for Heinrich Klaasen. It was so demoralizing as an Indian fan to watch Akshar Patel being hit for huge 6s in the last over that he bowled. At that point in time, I thought South Africa would win with 30 of 30 to get. Now, the moment Klaasen was dismissed off the wide delivery that Hardik Pandya bowled, I knew South Africa would lose the match, as Ashwin said in his channel, because, and I'm not using the word choking, I think that's something that you're not considering the intricacies of what went on in the game. If you are saying choking, you're saying it from a broad sense. Looking at the side, they don't have the batting depth. You got Marco Jansen at 7, his highest score is 21 against the West Indies. Have you been able to rely on him in this tournament? No, you haven't been. And then you got Rabada. Yes, he hit a couple of boundaries against West Indies. Can you rely on him in this case when you got an over of Bumrah left and Arshdeep left? No, you can't. So I didn't think that South Africa lost because of choking as such. You're looking at the side and thought the moment Heinrich Klaasen was dismissed, Marco Jansen, as I said in my previous video, I didn't back into play well against his Indian bowlers. Moni was dismissed and one end was 16 of 6 to get Hardik Pandya bowling to David Miller. At that point in time, I thought South Africa were favourites to win the game because I have not been trusting Hardik Pandya's bowling form this tournament and through the IPO as well. And I've said that quite a few times in my recent videos. And I'm so Rohit Sharma didn't trust his bowling form either because against England, he only bowled 1 over later on for 14 runs. This match introduced very late. So I think we all thought that ball had gone for 6, the first ball of the over. And with that catch, the most epic way I've seen the outcome of a match being determined, especially a match of this magnitude, the biggest match in T20 cricket, where had that ball gone for 6, South Africa would have definitely won this match. And on the catch, I responded to a tweet put out by a South African fan where it said, was the white line the boundary marker compromised when the ball was flicked back into play and the catch is completed? Now, I thought it was out, and in my view, with the response that I had given, where it's got a bit of traction, I think 50 likes and a few retweets, so thanks for that. I've not got as much traction on Twitter before. My concern and the point where I thought they should have zoomed in to get a better view was before the ball was flicked up and Surya Kumar Yadav went outside the field of play, whether his toe was touching the boundary cushion. And when you're seeing in other leagues where in group matches, in referrals, stumping referrals or catches out on the boundary, a lot of time has been afforded to seeing whether the catch was clean or the batsman has made their ground. When you can do that in those games, in the biggest match in T20 cricket, when this decision, the outcome of this decision will influence the outcome of the match, I thought that more time should have been afforded to check whether the toe had brushed the boundary cushion, but I thought it was out. The right decision had been made, and a spectacular way to salvage a World Cup. And when Hardik Pandya had bowled the last delivery, you saw the emotional reactions on the ground. As an Indian fan, I thought India needed this victory after what happened in the final of the ODI World Cup, where they had gone so close. And I think that even when I was watching this year's IPL, I'm sure as all Indian fans are watching this year's IPL, there was always that thing in the back of your mind to say, had India won that World Cup, this IPL would have been so much sweeter to watch. Instead, it's sort of like a bomb, but you know in the back of your mind nothing can heal that. And I feel this World Cup final win, it's a case where before the match there was talk as to whether if the match is rained off and both teams could share the trophy, both the rhetorics could be appeased. But I felt winning a final, and especially in the way that India won it, I thought that was a block they needed to overcome after being in 5 finals and not getting over the line. So ecstatic for this Indian side. 3 players have announced their T20I retirements: Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Ravindra Jadeja. I expected this, and I wish those 3 the very best. And I feel it was great for Rohit Sharma after what happened when he was captain during the 2023 ODI World Cup, and that final was lost. I think for him to return and to win this trophy when a lot of people, including myself, said he shouldn't have been in the side for this T20 World Cup, I'm extremely happy for him. And Virat Kohli, I knew he'd play well in this match. We've seen what he's done in these kind of situations for India, and he did exactly that in this match where people were saying he should show more intent. He played his natural game and played a match-winning innings for India. And Jadeja as well, even though he didn't have as much of an impact in this tournament, I feel he's done great things for India, and Vipul Gurdi will still be playing ODI cricket and T20s. I am not surprised he has announced his decision, and I wish him all the best. Commiseration to South Africa. Before the match, I was sad that one team would have to lose this match, and I felt it was important for the team winning that I said their rhetoric would be appeased as South Africa had won after many years of not winning an ICC trophy, making their first final after a long while. It would have been a great moment. And for India, after the heartbreak of the 2023 World Cup final, they needed this victory, and it was great to see the legends having the flag draped around them while holding the trophy. On South Africa, when Klaasen got out, as I said, I knew they'd lose, and I kept on thinking, even while India were getting closer to win the game and Bumrah was bowling those extraordinary overs, I kept on thinking, how would this be as a South African fan, as a South African player, where you're 30 of 30, you haven't won for so long, it's so close, and from that point in time, the moment that wicket falls, you can feel the match slipping away from you. And I felt quite bad for David Miller, especially when I saw the scenes after the match. And their time will come. They've got an outstanding player pool, and if they can find that one player to bat who can bowl as well as Maharaj and can bat a bit more at number 8, where Maharaj has been very good in Test cricket with the bat, but no ODIs, can you expect the players after Marco Jansen to get you over the line in that situation? I wouldn't say so. South Africa's time will come. I feel that, as I said, they've got a fantastic side, and I feel both the deserving sides play this final. I wish them all the best. I felt sad to see them lose because I think these are the 2 teams that have had a lot of stigma around them as to India not winning for the last decade. South Africa, the term chokers has been used, and it's a term that I don't like to be used for any side because I feel it ignores the intricacies of what happens on the day. So commiserations to them, and I'm very happy for India, and let's see what the future events hold. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, share with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion, what's yours? And to all Indian fans, Jai Hind.